On the 24th of January in 2023, President Muhammadu Buhari was in Lagos to commission the Dangote refineries. They rolled out the drums. The federal government, ostensibly, the illicit federal government, because we can't be talking about federal government when we don't have a federation. The federal government rolled out its drum to celebrate. APC joined, blowing trumpets of achievement. But those who have the capacity to see beyond the facade were seeing what was being celebrated, not for what was advertised or how it was advertised. What was being celebrated is the height of asset stripping and expropriation, Fulani asset stripping of Nigeria. The Dangote Refinery, which we are all supposed to be rejoicing about. Oh, petrol is about to come. When the whole country had been locked down deliberately by the artificial scarcity that had to be created to make room for the entry of Dangote Refinery into the market. People having been, having suffered the excruciating pain from unavailability of petroleum products will now be willing to buy at whatever price Dangote is willing to sell. That project is not our project. It is Fulani project. It is your project. It's not our project. The product itself, the crude oil, have been confiscated from its owners by virtue of the Constitution of Nigeria imposed by this same Caliphate. So on the exclusive list of the 1999 Constitution, you have the oil and gas assets of the Niger Delta confiscated. On that same exclusive list, you have the right, the power to refine, again confiscated into the hands of the federal government. That same federal government that have been cornered by the Caliphate, with Buhari, their champion, sitting at the pinnacle, has now combined the confiscation of oil and gas assets with the confiscation of power to refine, handing the two over to a Fulani man, while tying the hands of the owners of the oil to the back. And so Dangote will take the crude. Dangote has been granted license in monopoly to refine for all of us, 600,000 barrels they say. Whereas that same constitution that put refining in the exclusive jurisdiction of the federal government has been responsible for the shutdown of the 4 refineries in Nigeria. How many years now? And then we're talking about subsidy and all of what the 6 trillion it takes to pay for our refusal to think, to pay for our inefficiencies. And so the Dangote refinery monopoly is simply Caliphate asset stripping of Nigeria, indigenous Nigeria. Expropriation made permanent. And so we're not rejoicing that we're about to get petrol. We have the capacity to refine the products. We have the capacity to deal with the crude oil in a manner that will be beneficial, that will save our environment some better than what is being done by this federal government. And so let us also be reminded, so that we can see the picture as clearly as it can become. Let us be reminded that while Dangote and his banks were, putting the refinery structures together, it came to where it didn't make financial sense to the banks anymore, and there was no money to continue. This same Caliphate-controlled federal government dipped hands into the treasury and took $2 billion. How did they pass it into the public? They say, oh, federal government has to invest, they take up a stake in Dangote Refinery, as if they are investing for all of us. I don't know who they think they are talking to. You took $2 billion from our collective purse in the name of federal government to invest in shares. Some here is 10 or 20%, I don't know how many percent, but it's not more than 20% stake in Dangote's private business. So those $2 billion was now handed over to this Fulani man to put into his private business. And that is all of how we got to where there's now a refinery to provide all of us with products. The solution to refinery, the solution to petroleum products that have become so unavailable, perennially unavailable, is to take down the 1999 Constitution that confiscates the right to the power to refine into the hands of the federal government. Everybody can refine. I was in the oil industry enough to know. Everybody who can look will see. You go to Texas and see the number of private refineries littered all over the place. What is there in refining? In the 3 years of Biafra, vehicles were moving around, and the refineries were built by local initiative. Even the ones we chase around in the swamps and bushes of the Niger Delta, who are refining in their own crude way, if that impediment imposed by that constitution is removed today, there are a whole number of people who can refine. Why must it be Dangote that will refine for me? And it's been done in the name of federal government. This union is disputed. These are the fundamentals. These are the real issues. The economy is upside down. What is there in allowing people to refine, even if we have to buy the crude that belongs to us, if we have to buy it from you? We buy at whatever rate you sell to other people. But don't confiscate the right to refine. There are people in Port Harcourt who can set up refineries. There are people in Lagos, scores of companies capable of setting up refineries. They don't need to be 600,000 barrels. You can have something as little. You have modular refineries. You have all kinds of other options. By the time you have 10, 20 of such, products will be available to these 40 million people who live around Lagos. The same thing in other places. You confiscate the oil and gas. You confiscate the power to refine. And every day you go on TV telling us how you are going to import, how you are going to subsidize, because you are now buying, finished products, while millions of your youth are going about without employment here. And people are clapping and cheering, going to election organized by this same set of people, instead of asking the hard questions. That investment is Fulani asset stripping. That investment is Fulani, part of the Fulani conquest designs. And it's unfortunate that it is Bola Ahmed Tinubu that will bring the Fulani to deepen their conquest. Buhari came to Lagos on the 24th of January in 2023 to dip the Quran into the Atlantic. That is what that investment represents. The conquest that began from Sokoto is now at the shores of Lagos. For those who are rejoicing, there was an Afonja in the days of Ilorin. Apparently, there's another forger in Babylon today, leading the enemy into the backyards, into the underbelly of the Yoruba. That is what that investment represents. But let nobody rejoice too early. The owners of the oil and gas assets are not planning to give up their ownership because Nigeria is imposing constitution. That constitution is dead. The people who have the capacity to refine for themselves are not going to throw up their arms in the air because one Dangote has been licensed by some Fulani fellow who says he's president to come and refine for all of us. These things are going to collapse like a pack of cards. Let us be sure of that. The investors that refuse to bring their money, at the time Buhari had to go to take $2 billion from the treasury, and now we're talking about ways and means. Who approved that investment? Now we're talking about ways and means of 22 trillion. That's $30 billion in all ways and means. The young people may not understand the meaning of ways and means. Ways and means is money taken, like pilfering by federal government, to put it very plainly. Pilfering, taking money without appropriation. Taking money in a manner that is not authorized. So between Muhammad Buhari and his handmaid, Godwin Emefiele, we are now discussing $30 billion. Because I cannot fathom the other method by which that $2 billion got into Dangote's hands. There was $100 billion that was taken from the same treasury and given to Miyetti Allah. At the time, they were taking credit for the actions of, for the killings by Fulani herdsmen. All of that now going to ways and means. As it is with the Afonja of Bodilon, so it is with Timipre Silva that used to be governor in Bayelsa State concerning this Dangote investment. As Minister of State, Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum, he is leading the Fulani in that expropriation drive, in that asset stripping of his own people's oil and gas into the hands of Dangote's Fulani private business, sitting in Lagos, far away from where such a refinery should have been sitting. Was it that somebody never thought about such refinery sitting next to the oil fields? No. There was a Bayelsa oil and gas company set up by Governor Ala-Igbo, that should have been in a position to acquire whatever needs to be acquired by way of license, acquire whatever concession for crude supply that needs to be acquired, and to set up even such refinery that will employ the multitudes of young people that are more than qualified, milling around in such numbers in Bayelsa. But what happened to that investment? The governors that came after Ala-Igbo, this same Timipre and the Dixon that came after him, somehow between them, that investment was privatized into their hands. These two governors sold this Bayelsa oil and gas to themselves at $60 million. The company, the Bayelsa oil and gas company, nowhere to be found. $60 million, we don't know where to start the trace. Those who are involved are lamenting. It hasn't been loud, but somehow it appears there's an attempt to keep it from public view. Then they say settlement out of court, because somebody has gone to court to question what happened to the investment. If Ala-Igbo wanted everything for himself, he would have just set up SPV proxy and done the company for himself. But no, he put in the name of Bayelsa. But his two successors, deemed it fit to make it their own investment. And so, that's how we came to Dangote having the field to himself at the instance of his kinsman, Buhari. Look at it again. Look at this map again. Who from where is doing what? Against who? From which part? Listen again. Who from where is doing what? Against who? From where? By that I mean, put everybody on this map. Put Muhammad Buhari on this map and all the people working with him in that center, in that federal government. Look at, put the people who own the assets. Where are the assets, domiciled? Niger Delta. Put it on that map. Then put on that same map the Dangote that is given monopoly to refine the product already stolen from the owners by constitutional manipulation. You begin to see the clear picture of who from where is doing what against who. 100 billion taken from which money? Who is the owner of that pool of money in terms of contribution? Is it the people of Sokoto and Kano or Meduguri or Katsina that contributed, that generated that money? The other day we were told that $1 billion was also used to recover some of the land that the Boko Haram was. How did Boko Haram come? So these are the things. Put everything on the map and you will see who from where is doing what against who.